Hey everybody, if you are struggling on a keto or carnivore diet, this video is for you. And if you're struggling, that probably means you've just started for the most part. And so I'm going to give you some adaptation symptoms you are likely to encounter and how understanding them and why they happen can help you mitigate them and or at least psychologically allow you to push through until you no longer have to suffer ever again. So, what are the adaptation symptoms as you transition away from a dependence on carbs and towards a fat-fueled metabolism? You've got headaches, diarrhea, constipation, fatigue, lethargy, and brain fog, depression and anxiety, carb and sugar cravings. Also, anything that's sweet, so even artificial sweeteners, you crave that taste, muscle cramps, and heart palpitations. Let's start with the first one, headaches. So I used to struggle a lot with headaches, and especially when I used to eat carbs, and I no longer have headaches. Now, that's probably also because I no longer drink coffee. It's been a year and a month that I haven't had any caffeine. That definitely plays a role, and probably also because I take magnesium, although recently I haven't been taking magnesium, and also, I don't have headaches anymore. So carbohydrates used to be a major driving force, and if you've ever tried to cut carbs, you've probably encountered some headaches. So why does that happen? That's because insulin retains electrolytes like sodium, magnesium, and potassium in the body. So when you're eating carbs, you're pumping out all that insulin to drop your blood sugar. And so that also was leading to the retention of those electrolytes. Now you take the carbs out and you have an abrupt, massive drop in insulin levels, which means that you're not retaining those electrolytes to the same degree that you were. And so there is a temporary deficiency in those electrolytes that happen until your body gets the message like you're not going to get any carbs anymore, you're not going to pump out as much insulin, and so you might as well just retain the electrolytes that you have. But that takes like a couple of weeks. So this drop in electrolytes, this temporary drop in electrolytes prevents enough water retention in your blood vessels from exerting enough blood pressure against your blood vessels. And so now you have a drop in blood volume, and that's what leads to headaches, and also it leads to fatigue and lethargy. So this drop in electrolytes and the drop in the blood volume could trigger headaches. And so the remedy is to increase your electrolytes and water. It's not just the electrolytes, it's also water and hydration. And so you could literally just sip all day on chicken broth or chicken bone broth or any kind of broth, really. Or just take electrolytes and drink a ton of water. The second symptom you might come across would be diarrhea. So an abrupt zero fiber diet could lead to diarrhea as your colon doesn't yet know that it needs to start reabsorbing more water. In the past, when you used to have some roughage and fiber, which took up a lot of water or absorbed a lot of water, your colon didn't have to reabsorb as much water. But now it has to relearn to reabsorb more water. And until it learns to do that, you're probably going to suffer from some diarrhea in the first couple of weeks. It goes away for most people. If it doesn't, you're probably still doing things like, drinking coffee or things like that you might be sensitive to. So that's first and foremost. Another thing, the sudden increase in fat also could trigger diarrhea. And if diarrhea doesn't stop, you might want to pay attention to how much fat overall you're eating. Maybe you're just overeating fat, but that's not the number one thing that I would go to. I would start with the coffee and other things first to address diarrhea that doesn't go away after 2 weeks. Diarrhea usually resolves within 14 days, but it could take up to 4 weeks. You can take ox bile supplements to help you digest the fat because there's a sudden uptick in the fat content that you're consuming. And so your body might also take a few weeks to get the message and to learn to digest and absorb more fat. Now, if all these don't help, cut out caffeine, cut out dairy. I do have a whole video on that, so I'm going to link it in the description box below on diarrhea. You may want to check that out. You can try reintroducing dairy after 30 to 90 days in the form of A2 dairy, and that might allow you to enjoy dairy again, but only from A2 cows. And there's a brand now that you can find everywhere that has A2 milk in it and A2 dairy products. But ideally, try to source it from a better, like maybe a farmer or um, just a better source than just like the packaged pasteurized ones. Constipation is another one. So a sudden elimination of fiber could lead to less waste that has to be eliminated from the gut, which is generally a good thing. You definitely are not going to be using the bathroom as often as you used to when you used to eat a bunch of salads or any kind of, carbohydrate. That's actually a good trait, right? Think of our ancestors when they used to, or think of our ancestors, right? The ones who would need to poop more are probably more vulnerable to attacks and less productive than their counterparts who probably poop once every day or once every few days. So constipation shouldn't be diagnosed by the frequency of going to the bathroom. There are better measures to track constipation, such as bloating, gas, pain upon elimination, and having hard stools that look like rocks. So check out Bristol's stool chart. That's a good place to go to see what your stools really need to look like. Just like literally Google it and look it up, and you'll see if your stools look healthy or you're on the constipated side of things. So, if you feel though that you're still suffering symptoms of constipation, increase your fat intake and cut out the caffeine. And make sure you watch the video. I filmed on this topic a whole video on constipation. I will also link it in the description box below. It has some additional steps that can help you out. Okay, number 4, fatigue and brain fog. Same thing is it's the same thing. It's the electrolyte imbalances that cause that. Usually subsides after a couple of weeks, but also withdrawing from addictive foods. So you have a sudden drop in dopamine intake from addictive foods, and so that could also be the reason why you're feeling this way. The only way out is through. You literally have to power through until your brain chemistry rebalances itself. And if you do a cheat meal, you go straight back to square one. And so really, I mean, if you really want to detoxify from a drug like addictive foods, you really can't go back and have like a tiny little cheat meal. You don't want to have anything sweet cross your lips, basically. And that's going to help with the not having the fatigue and the brain fog for too long. So you want to push through it, especially in the first 10 days, as you'll have a whole new set of taste buds by the end of the 10 days. That's right. It takes 10 days for a whole new set of taste buds to be regenerated. You'll literally forget what sweetness tastes like. Intense exercise with progressive overload as well. So really hard workouts that you keep getting better and better at, and you keep pushing yourself to get faster and stronger. That restores brain chemistry, especially dopamine and dopamine receptors in it, and a bunch of other neurotransmitters or brain chemicals. It literally brings those brain chemicals back up again so that you feel more energetic and motivated back again to counter the damage that happened from the addictive food consumption over years. Okay. Number 5, depression and anxiety. So what causes that is the withdrawal symptoms from detoxifying from those addictive foods. So follow the same advice that I gave you in the step before and take it a bit easy in the first 2 weeks. Don't try to be so hard on yourself and follow a gazillion other goals at the same time. It's good to have goals. It's good to keep yourself occupied. But if you feel like you literally cannot focus on a project, let yourself relax and don't feel guilty about it. Just know that those 2 weeks are going to be a little rough. Number 6, carb cravings. This includes cravings for sugars, artificial sweeteners, and anything that relates to a property of carbohydrate, anything that reminds you of carbs, basically. You're gonna crave those things. Some people more so than others. Some people might not crave them at all. But most people will have those carb cravings. And so you can work out so that you can eat more without gaining weight and feeling bad about gaining weight. And you can eat more protein and animal fat, which can suppress your appetite and suppress your cravings. Also, avoid restricting calories too much in the initial 14 days, but don't go crazy with the calories because I think that for a lot of people, they expect to lose weight. And if you go into doing carnivore or keto and you gain weight, then I think a lot of times that can affect your mindset and make it harder for you to stick with that way of eating. Again, the only way out is through. It's an addiction. You're detoxing from it, and it's just a few weeks and then it goes away. Ideally, by 3 months, you should have zero cravings. For most people, I would say 14 days that you will have dramatic reduction in cravings, probably like 97% reduction in cravings. And just do it for 2 weeks. But really, I think once you pass the 3 month mark, you're solid. Cheat meals shouldn't be included on your plan, obviously. If you've struggled with eating disorders and food addiction in the past, you don't want to withdraw from carbs on a regular basis. You don't want to feel great and then go back and reintroduce a drug, right? Because once you reintroduce a drug, now the moment you end that meal, you have entered in the withdrawal phase again and the cravings again. So just do this detox once and be done with it. And it's just so much easier to not have to deal with the carbohydrate cravings. Number 7, muscle cramps. Due to the electrolyte imbalances that we talked about, you can also have muscle cramps because of those electrolyte deficiencies. Will subside in a week or two, so hang in there. You can prevent that by simply upping your salt intake or take electrolytes and drink a ton of water. The hydration is crucial. You can't just increase electrolytes without also increasing massively the amount of water you're drinking, which is why bone broth is a great remedy. It's got both electrolytes and hydration. And finally, heart palpitations also could be due to those electrolyte imbalances. So same remedy as before, salt, electrolytes, hydration. Alrighty, that's it. So again, because we're in Christmas month and some people are buying a bunch of gifts, check out the codes that I have for the AquaTrue reverse osmosis filter. They're linked in every YouTube video in the description box below. The Carnivore Calorie Bible guide, which you've loved, and I've updated it. It's got a lot of foods on the carnivore diet and their accurate caloric content. You cannot rely on MyFitnessPal for their calorie counts. Oftentimes they're wrong. And this is my Instagram if you want to connect. And this is my website, DRZALDIVAR.com, for my coaching packages. And that is it. I hope this was helpful. I hope you're hanging in there. You can do this. If you just hang in there for 14 days, it's just so much easier after that. And it's really much easier, a much easier diet to stick to, especially the carnivore diet, than all the other diets, because it eliminates the addictive food element, which might still be present on a ketogenic diet. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Also, subscribe and hit that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next